On November 16, 2023, David Renteria was executed by the state of Texas. His execution marked the culmination of a legal process spanning over 2 decades. Renteria was condemned for the 2001 kidnapping and murder of 5-year-old Alexandra Flores. This case, like all involving the death penalty and child victims, elicits profound emotional responses from the public and those involved. David Renteria was the 8th individual executed in Texas during the year 2023. His case raises significant questions about justice, evidence, and the finality of state-sanctioned death. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. The crime for which Renteria was executed occurred in El Paso, Texas. The victim was a young girl, Alexandra Flores, just 5 years old at the time. Alexandra was abducted from a Walmart store on November 18, 2001. Her disappearance triggered an immediate search and widespread concern in the community. Tragically, her body was discovered the following day. It was found in an alley located 16 miles away from the Walmart where she was last seen. The condition of the body was disturbing. Alexandra was found nude and parts of her body had been burned. A plastic bag was found over her head. This bag was also partially burned, suggesting an attempt to conceal or destroy evidence. The subsequent autopsy provided critical findings regarding the cause and circumstances of her death. The medical examiner determined the primary cause of death was manual strangulation. Alexandra had also suffered head injuries, indicating she had been hit twice in the head. The burning of her body occurred after her death. Significantly, the medical examiner found no evidence of sexual assault during the autopsy. This detail was relevant to the prosecution's theory of the crime and the defense's arguments. David Renteria had a criminal history prior to the Flores case. This history included previous convictions that would later be considered by the court. In 1994, he was convicted of indecency with a child. The victim in that case was 7 years old. For the 1994 indecency conviction, Renteria received deferred adjudication. This meant he was placed on probation, and if successful, the conviction would not be entered. His record also included multiple convictions for driving while intoxicated. These occurred in 1995, 1997, and 2000, indicating a pattern of substance abuse and disregard for public safety. Renteria violated parole on multiple occasions. These violations demonstrated a difficulty or unwillingness to comply with legal supervision and conditions. He was required to attend sex offender counseling as part of his legal obligations. However, he attended these sessions only sporadically, failing to complete the required program. Throughout the legal process for the Flores murder, Renteria consistently maintained his innocence. He denied being the person who killed Alexandra. His defense centered on a claim that he was coerced into participating in the crime. He alleged a gang forced him to abduct the child and dispose of her body. Renteria claimed the gang members were the ones who had murdered Alexandra. He asserted he was merely involved in the aftermath under duress. However, courts reviewing his case found no credible evidence to support his claims of gang involvement in the murder or his coercion. His account was not substantiated by the facts presented. David Renteria was convicted of capital murder in 2003. The trial took place in El Paso, Texas. Under Texas law, his crime was eligible for the death penalty. This eligibility was based on specific criteria defined in the state's statutes. One criterion met was that the victim was under the age of 15. Killing a child of this age is an aggravating factor in Texas capital cases. Another factor considered was whether he would likely continue to be a danger to others. His prior criminal history, including the indecency conviction and parole violations, supported the prosecution's argument on this point. The conviction was based on what the prosecution described as ample evidence. This evidence linked Renteria directly to the crime scene and the victim. Evidence presented included surveillance footage from the Walmart. This footage reportedly showed Renteria in the vicinity of the abduction. Blood DNA evidence was also presented. This DNA was reportedly found at the scene where Alexandra's body was discovered and linked to Renteria. A crucial piece of evidence was a palm print. This print was recovered from the plastic bag found over Alexandra's head and was identified as belonging to David Renteria. Based on the evidence presented, the jury sentenced Renteria to death. This decision reflected their finding of guilt and the aggravating factors. His death sentence was automatically appealed, as is standard in Texas capital cases. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals upheld the conviction and sentence in 2008. Following the affirmation of his sentence, Renteria's legal team pursued numerous appeals. Their efforts aimed to delay or ultimately prevent his execution. A primary argument raised by his legal team involved alleged misconduct by the El Paso District Attorney's Office. They claimed the prosecution violated Renteria's constitutional rights. Specifically, they argued the state failed to release all relevant case documents to the defense. This alleged withholding of evidence formed a significant basis for their appeals. The defense claimed this failure violated Renteria's rights to due process and equal protection under the law. They argued it prevented him from presenting a full defense. In August 2023, a district court judge in El Paso initially granted a postponement of Renteria's execution. This decision acknowledged the potential merit of the defense's claims regarding withheld evidence. However, the El Paso District Attorney's Office appealed this postponement order. They sought to proceed with the scheduled execution. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals subsequently overturned the postponement order. This decision cleared the way for the execution to be rescheduled. Renteria's legal team then filed a petition for removal to federal courts. This attempt to shift the case to the federal system was ultimately denied. They also presented new witness testimony that emerged in 2018. This witness offered an alternative account of involvement in the crime. The witness claimed her then-husband, not Renteria, was involved in the murder of Alexandra Flores. She provided details suggesting his culpability. Furthermore, the witness claimed her husband had instructed her to drive to the alley, where Alexandra's body was later discovered. This testimony aimed to cast doubt on Renteria's sole responsibility. However, the U.S. Supreme Court dismissed the new witness testimony claim. They cited inaccuracies and inconsistencies in the witness's statements, finding it not credible enough to warrant intervention. In a separate legal challenge, Renteria's team filed a petition against the state's use of allegedly expired drugs for the lethal injection. This petition was brought before the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Challenges to the state's use of lethal injection drugs, including claims about their efficacy or expiration, have been raised in other Texas cases. Historically, similar challenges have been unsuccessful in halting executions. Ultimately, the U.S. Supreme Court denied Renteria's final petition just hours before his scheduled execution. This denial exhausted his remaining legal avenues for appeal. The execution of David Renteria took place on November 16, 2023. It proceeded as scheduled after the final legal challenges were denied. The method of execution used was lethal injection. The drug administered was pentobarbital, a standard sedative used in Texas executions. According to official reports, the time of death was recorded as 11 minutes after the injection began. The process was described as proceeding without complications. David Renteria was permitted to make a final statement. His words were directed towards those affected by the crime and the execution. He expressed condolences to the victim's family, acknowledging their pain. He asked for forgiveness from those he had hurt throughout his life. In a poignant and critical statement regarding his own fate, he also expressed forgiveness to those who had called for his death. He referred to the executioners and the state as who are about to murder me. Attendees at the execution included individuals representing both Renteria and the victim. Renteria's sister and 3 friends were present on his behalf. Alexandra Flores' family was also present to witness the execution. Her sister and brother attended, representing the victim. The case of David Renteria and his execution highlights the profound complexities inherent in the death penalty system. It underscores the difficult balance between retribution, justice, and the potential for error. The case also vividly illustrates the immense emotional toll that heinous crimes inflict upon victims' families. Their long wait for finality, however it arrives, is a significant aspect of the justice process. Finally, Renteria's case exemplifies the extensive and often protracted legal battles that accompany capital punishment. The years of appeals, challenges, and reviews demonstrate the system's attempts, however imperfect, to ensure due process before imposing the ultimate penalty.